Jai Gurudev, and thank you for joining us today. So again, today we have with us an art of living expert and an officer of the Vedic themselves. And today I'll be discussing about the Guru Paduka Stotram. So let's begin. So can you explain the essence of the Guru Paduka Stotram and what it is all about? Yes, Jai Gurudev, and thank you for joining us. Yes, the Guru Paduka Stotram, composed by Adi Shankaracharya ji, glorifies the Guru's sandals as the supreme boat across samsara. Each verse highlights how the Guru's grace uplifts the seeker from ignorance, bondage, and sorrow. In Art of Living, we see Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankarji's teachings as living Padukas, every word guiding us beyond suffering. His presence, like the Padukas, bestows knowledge, devotion, and liberation. The Guru Paduka Vanam at the International Center near Gate 5 is a sacred space where devotees feel that same grace magnified, a reminder of surrender and gratitude to the Master's lotus feet. Now, one verse speaks of the Padukas as the boat across the ocean of samsara. How is this relevant today? Yes, the verse Ananta Samsara Samudratara describes the Guru's Padukas as a boat rescuing devotees from endless worldly cycles. In modern times, samsara manifests as stress, anxiety, and confusion. Gurudev's Sudarshan Kriya and meditation practices are like these Padukas. They lift us from drowning in problems and set us on the shore of peace. Guru Padakavanam was created exactly with this intention, a physical, serene reminder that surrendering to the Guru's wisdom helps us transcend all difficulties, just as a boat carries us safely across a turbulent ocean. Now, how does devotion or bhakti come true in the first verse? Yes, the verse also says Guru Bhakti Dabhyam, meaning the Padukas grant deep devotion to the Guru. Without devotion, knowledge remains dry. In Art of Living, Seva, Satsang, and Sadhana are the expressions of bhakti. When we bow to Guru's Padukas, Gurudev's Padukas, we are not worshipping footwear but acknowledging the channel of divine wisdom. Guru Paduka Vanam reflects the spirit. Thousands have offered prayers and seva there, feeling devotion rise naturally, just as the verse promises. Being in that space fills the heart with gratitude and bhakti toward Gurudev. Now, the verse also mentions Vairagya Samrajya. What does that signify? The Guru's Padukas grant Vairagya Samrajya, the Pujanabhyam, the kingdom of detachment. This means that by surrendering to the Guru, one gains freedom from cravings and attachments. Gurudev often says dispassion is not running away, but enjoying life with wisdom. Sudarshan Kriya, Pranayama, and knowledge sessions cultivate this detachment naturally. Guru Padukavanam embodies Vairagya. It is quiet, filled with trees, birds, and the sound of silence. Sitting there, seekers realize the futility of endless desires and the joy of inner contentment. It is a true Samrajya, a kingdom of peace gifted by Guru's grace. Now, moving to the next verse, it speaks of the Padukas as a moon over the ocean of poetry. What does this imagery mean? Yes, the verse compares the Padukas to a moon rising over the ocean of poetry, Kavitva, Varashi, Nisha Karabhyam. It symbolizes brilliance, inspiration, and the illumination of wisdom. Just as the moon reflects light, the Guru's Padukas reflect the divine consciousness. In Art of Living, seekers often experience bursts of creativity like songs, poems, and new expressions, often connecting with Gurudev. The Guru Padakavanam too has inspired countless devotees to write, paint, or meditate. It is a moonlit space where divine inspiration flows naturally and all darkness of ignorance is dispelled. Now, verse also mentions removing poverty and misfortune. How do Padukas uplift a seeker in this way? The line Daura Bhagya Davam Buddha Malikabhyam says the Padukas shower blessings like rain clouds, quenching the fire of misfortune. For seekers, this means transforming inner poverty, lack of peace, love, or knowledge into richness. Gurudev's presence uplifts lives in exactly this way. Through seva, education, and rural projects, millions have found hope. The Guru Padukavaram, located just near Gate 5, is like a spiritual rain cloud. Many devotees meditate there, feeling burdens lifted and lives renewed. It embodies the promise of this verse, removing misfortune and bestowing abundance through Guru's grace. Now, how does this verse connect to removing ignorance and sorrow? Jagadev, the verse concludes with Durikratantant Mato Moha Shokabhyam. This means the Padukas dispel endless ignorance, delusion, and sorrow. Ignorance is the root of suffering. Gurudev constantly reminds us when knowledge dawns, sorrow vanishes through Kriya, Satsang, and wisdom seekers awaken at Guru Padukavanam. This awakening is magnified, especially when the Mahashivratri approaches and the whole night devotees sing and dance in Shiva bhajans at the Guru Paduka Vanam. Sitting near the Padukas, one feels clarity and inner silence. Many devotees share that confusion dissolves there just as the sunlight dissolves mist. The words and the Vanam together show how Guru's Padukas are the cure for ignorance and grief. Now, verse also highlights compassion. How is that reflected in Gurudev's life? The word says, Nana Vimoha Madaya Kripabhyam. The Padukas are filled with compassion that frees us from delusion. Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji's compassion is not theoretical. It expresses through service, trauma relief in war zones, river rejuvenation, prisoner rehabilitation, and education for the underprivileged. Just like the Padukas uplift devotees with compassion, Gurudev uplifts society. Guru Paduka Vanam itself was created as a compassionate offering for seekers to rest, meditate, and feel cared for. It is a living expression of this verse's message of grace and compassion. Now, how does the verse relate to giving all that is needed? Verse ends with Nikilarthatabhyam. The Padukas bestow everything needed, both materially and spiritually. In Art of Living, seekers often share how, after surrendering to Gurudev, life begins to flow effortlessly. Opportunities, clarity, and abundance come unasked. The Guru Padukavaram symbolizes this fulfillment. It was built through the contributions of countless devotees, yet each felt blessed, not depleted. When you surrender at the Padukas, needs are met in surprising ways. This verse reminds us that Guru's grace is the source of both worldly support and ultimate liberation. Now, the verse speaks of the radiance of gems. How should we understand this imagery? Yes, the verse compares the Guru's padukas to radiant jewels, Nirpali Mali, Vrajaratna Kanti. Just as gems adorn a crown, the Guru's feet adorn the disciples' life with the brilliance. The nails of the padukas are described as shining like precious stones, radiating purity. In Gurudev's presence, seekers often feel their life shine, confusion replaced by confidence, dullness replaced with joy. The Guru Padukavanam too glows with the jewel-like aura. The carefully placed Padukas radiate divine energy. It is as though the brilliance of this verse manifests tangibly in that sacred robe. Now, verse mentions brilliance beyond comprehension. How does this connect to Gurudev's aura? Now, the verse says, Dura Prabhabhyam, meaning the radiance of the Padukas cannot be easily grasped. This parallels Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji's presence, which transcends logic. People from different backgrounds, scientists, farmers, leaders, and seekers feel uplifted without fully understanding why his aura is like the light of Padukas, gentle yet transformative. At Guru Padukavaram, this incomprehensible brilliance is palpable. Devotees often sit in silence, unable to explain but deeply moved. This verse reminds us that divine radiance is to be experienced, not intellectually analyzed. Now, the verse highlights removal of sins. How is this reflected in Art of Living? Now, the line Duritakara Abhyam describes the Padukas as destroyers of sins. In practice, this means the Guru's grace burns past impressions of vasanas and karmic burdens. In Art of Living, Kriya and meditation purify the mind and body. Just as fire purifies gold, Gurudev has guided millions to release guilt, regret, and negativity, leading to inner purity. Guru Padukavanam represents this cleansing power. Many who meditate there feel a burden lifted. Just as sins dissolve in the presence of Padukas, obstacles of life in life dissolve with the Gurudev's blessings. Now, verse speaks of Padukas being worthy of a constant worship. How is this practiced at the ashram? Jagadav, as the verse begins with Padam Puja Iya Prani Seva Nairabhyam. The Padukas deserve continuous worship in the ashram. This is reflected in Guru Puja, where Padukas are honored daily as symbols of knowledge. Guru Purnima is the grandest expression when devotees gather worldwide to offer gratitude. Guru Padukavaram was created so that even outside formal rituals, seekers can offer silent pranam anytime. By simply sitting there, one is engaging in worship, acknowledging that the source of wisdom flows through the Guru's lotus feet. So, how do Paduka's grand desires, as mentioned in the verses? The verse says Abhishtadabhyam, meaning that Paduka's grand cherished desires. Spiritually, this refers to the desire for liberation, peace, and divine connection. Practically, it also means the Guru blesses the seekers with what is truly beneficial. Gurudev often says, whatever you truly need will come to you. Many share experiences of unexpected support after surrendering at his feet. Guru Padukavaram carries the same energy. Devotees often say they prayed there and soon saw their lives aligning beautifully. The Padukas fulfill desires aligned with Dharma. Now, the verse mentions the Paduka as being spotless and pure. How does this purity manifest? The phrase Nityam Sa Subrabhyam means the Padukas are eternally pure. This purity is symbolic of the Guru's teachings, which remain uncontaminated by time or circumstance. Gurudev's wisdom applies equally to a stressed executive and a villager because it springs from timeless truth. The ashram embodies this purity. Its atmosphere uplifts anyone who arrives. The Guru Padukavaram amplifies this energy with its serene natural environment, just as the word says. The Padukas shine unstained, reminding us that the Guru's grace is untouched by worldly impurities. Now, why are the Padukas called incomparable in the verse? The line Nirupamabhyam proclaims that the Padukas are beyond comparison. Nothing in the material world equals the spiritual refuge offered by the Guru's feet. In Art of Living, seekers may travel, achieve, or acquire many things. Yet they testify that nothing compares to the inner fulfillment of being guided by Gurudev. Guru Padukavanan stands as a physical testimony to this truth. Devotees from across the globe visit, and many say that no pilgrimage gave them what this quiet grove near Gate 5 bestowed, an incomparable sense of belonging and surrender. Now, the verse also speaks of Padukas being worshipped like fire or Swaha. Can you explain? Yes, Jagadev. The verse says Swaha Sadananda Prabhava Prasiddha Abhyam, suggesting that the Padukas are as worthy of offerings as sacred fire. In Vedic rituals, fire is the carrier of offerings to deities. Similarly, the Guru's Padukas carry our devotion to the highest consciousness. Gurudev has revived these ancient traditions through Guru Paduka and Puja and homas at the ashram. Guru Padakavanam also serves as an open air altar where nature itself becomes a temple. Offering flowers or even silent breaths there connects one directly to the sacred fire of knowledge. Now, how do Padukas bring stability as described in the verse? The verse is Susamstitabhyam, meaning the Padukas are firmly established, giving stability to seekers in today's fast changing world. Gurudev's presence is the anchor. His teachings ground us in values while letting us adapt flexibly. Just as Padukas remain unmoving, they stabilize the disciples' wavering mind. Guru Padukavanam offers such stability. Its design, a peaceful grove shielded from city noise, creates an environment of steadiness. Seekers often meditate there for hours, feeling anchored and supported. This verse assures us that surrendering to the Guru's feet brings unwavering inner balance. Now, the verse also highlights bestowing merit. How is this understood in Art of Living? Yes, Jagadev, the line Sukriti Pradabhyam means the Padukas bestow punya or merit. In Art of Living, Seva is seen as the highest way to earn merit, but Seva gains power only when connected to the Guru's grace. Just as water flows from a mountain spring, blessings flow from the Guru to the devotee. Many who serve in the ashram or courses feel their lives miraculously supported. Guru Padukavanam enhances this flow. Every act of devotion there multiplies punya. The verse reassures that service at the Guru's feet never goes unrewarded. Now, the verse also suggests that Padukas fulfill the wishes of all beings. How can one see this universally? The word says Sada Sada Yatra Karakaranam Bhavatva Abhishtam, meaning the Padukas bring fulfillment to both moving and unmoving beings. It's a universal blessing, not limited to humans. Gurudev often emphasizes that his work is for all life, humans, animals, plants, and rivers. At the ashram, cows are tended, trees are planted, and rivers rejuvenated. Reflecting this inclusiveness, Guru Padukavanam, located in nature's lap, also benefits birds, trees, and animals. It's a sanctuary where all beings thrive, echoing the verse's vision of universal welfare. Now, the verse also repeats the surrender of Guru's Padukas. Why this emphasis? The verse closes with Namo Namah Shri Guru Padukabhyam, repeated twice, signifying humility and total surrender. In spiritual practice, repetition deepens conviction. Gurudev often reminds us surrender is not giving up, it is resting in the Guru's strength. At the ashram, Guru Puja is chanted daily to reinforce this attitude. Guru Padukavanam too was built as a space where surrender becomes natural. Walking just 200 meters from Gate 5, one feels compelled to bow in silence. The repeated Namo Namah is lived there, not just recited. Now, why are the Padukas called a boat in the very first verse? And how does this metaphor continue throughout? The Padukas are likened to a boat because they carry devotees across samsara. This imagery persists across verses. They grant devotion, dispassion, wisdom, brilliance, merit, and stability. A boat is simple yet life saving. Gurudev's teachings act as this boat, accessible, practical, and transformative. So, darshan, kriya, and meditation are oars that help us row, while surrender to the Guru is the sail that catches divine grace. Guru Padukavanam is the dock where this journey begins. The moment one bows there, the inner voyage across samsara feels secure. Now, how does Guru Paduka Stotram reflect the Advaitic vision of Adi Shankaracharya? Adi Shankaracharya saw the Guru as Brahman itself, beyond dualities. In the Stotram, the Padukas are not mere symbols but living manifestations of the Supreme. Gurudev embodies this Advaitic spirit. He often says, the Guru is not a person but a principle in art of living. The Padukas remind us of this principle, consciousness guiding us to the self. Guru Paduka Vanam captures this non duality beautifully. It merges earth, sky, and silence, dissolving the seeker's sense of separation. Just being there reveals the Advaitic truth that Guru and self are one. Now, how does chanting the stotram before Guru Puja enhance the practice? Chanting the Guru Paduka Stotram prepares the heart with devotion, dispassion, and surrender before Guru Puja. It aligns the mind with the understanding that the Guru's feet are the source of liberation. In the ashram, many begin Guru Puja with this chant, allowing the vibration to fill the space. Gurudev has said, when you honor the tradition, blessings multiply. At Guru Paduka Vanam, this stotram is sometimes sung collectively, and the resonance between the Padukas and nature creates an atmosphere where every seeker feels spiritually attuned for Guru Puja. Now, how does the imagery of jewels in the verse connect to art of living practices? Yes, Jai Gurudev. The shining jewels symbolize purity, brilliance, and preciousness. In art of living practices like Padma Sadhana, polish the inner self, just as gems are polished to shine. When the mind is cleansed, its natural brilliance radiates. Gurudev's presence is like a crown jewel in our lives, adding dignity and sparkle. Guru Paduka Vanam carries this jewel like aura, sunlight reflected off the Padukas, birdsong resonating like chimes. Just as jewels are treasured, seekers treasure their moments of silence and meditation there. This verse translates directly into lived experience at the Vanam. Now, can we see the Padukas as a symbol of humility? Absolutely, feet are the lowest part of the body, yet in our tradition they are revered as the highest. This paradox teaches humility that greatness lies in lowering oneself. Gurudev embodies this despite being a global spiritual leader. He meets everyone with childlike simplicity in art of living. Seva teaches this humility. No task is small. Guru Padukavanam is a constant reminder. Simple sandals placed amidst grandeur. They symbolize that true divinity is grounded, humble, and approachable. This is why bowing to Padukas erases ego and nurtures humility. Now, how does the verse mention of compassion or kripa guide seekers in seva? Compassion in the verse Kripabhyam shows that Padukas as vessels of mercy. Gurudev insists seva is the natural outcome of compassion. When we connect to the Guru's grace, seva flows effortlessly without obligation. Prison programs, disaster relief, and village development projects under Art of Living are practical expressions of this compassion. Guru Padakavanam inspires seva too. Many devotees, after meditating there, feel moved to serve, whether planting trees or helping people. This verse teaches that surrender at the Guru's feet awakens compassion, which transforms it into action for society. Now, how do the Padukas connect the individual to cosmic order or Rata? The Guru's Padukas align the seeker's life with Dharma and Rata, the cosmic order. Just as feet ground a body, Padukas ground a disciple in universal rhythm. Gurudev often says life is a dance when in tune with nature's rhythm. Practices like Sandhya Vandanam and Gayatri Japa taught in Art of Living sustain this alignment. Guru Padukavanam itself is built in harmony with the natural elements, trees, stone, silence, reflecting cosmic balance. Sitting there, one feels naturally aligned with the universe. The Padukas restore not just a personal peace but cosmic connectedness. Now, why is repetition of Namo Namah significant in spiritual transformation? Repetition is a tool for dissolving the ego by saying Namo Namah again and again. The seeker acknowledges, I am nothing, all is Guru's grace. Gurudev emphasizes japa or repetition as a method to shift the mind from agitation to silence. Just as mantra japa purifies, repeating surrender purifies the heart. Guru Padakavanam is a natural place for such repetition. Many devotees circumambulate the Padukas chanting Namo Namaha. The repetition ingrains humility, dissolves resistance, and opens the seeker to transformation. This is why the Stotram repeats the phrase often. Now, how do the Padukas symbolize continuity of tradition or parampara? Jayadev as the Padukas signify not just the Guru but the unbroken lineage of wisdom. Each Guru inherits the Padukas of the tradition representing continuity. His Holiness Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankar Ji is part of this eternal parampara, keeping ancient wisdom alive in modern times and art of living. When Guru Puja is performed, seekers connect to this timeless chain. Guru Paduka Vanam too is built to honor this parampara as thousands bow there. They are bowing not only to Gurudev but to the entire lineage stretching back to Adi Shankaracharya and beyond. So, how do the Padukas help dissolve ego in seekers? Bowing to the Guru's Padukas is symbolic of letting go of ego, the I know attitude. The verses constantly remind us that everything is granted by Guru's grace. Gurudev says ego is heaviness, surrender is lightness. Art of living practices soften ego through kriya, meditation, and seva. Yet true dissolution happens in devotion at the Guru's feet. Guru Padakavanam, with its serene silence, encourages the surrender. Many seekers confess that in front of the Padukas their pride melts and they feel like innocent children again, pure, light, and open. Now, the verse also talks about dispassion as a kingdom. How is dispassion seen in Gurudev's teachings? Vairagya Samrajya means a kingdom of dispassion, not lack but fullness. Gurudev teaches that true Vairagya is enjoying life without clinging. In Kriya, we taste freedom from cravings, realizing joy is within. This is why disciplined disciples serving the world remain cheerful, not burdened. Guru Paduka Vanam exemplifies this. It offers vast silence, a kingdom in itself, reminding seekers that real wealth is dispassion. Just as kings ruled kingdoms, the Guru's Padukas grant mastery over desires, giving seekers a sovereignty of the inner world where nothing external controls them. Now, how do Padukas connect the seeker to sacred sound or the nada? The stotram itself is sound energy. Chanting it purifies the mind, and listening to it near Guru Padagavanam deepens the experience. Gurudev often says sound is the first manifestation of a creation. Guru's feet are the source of this nada, the eternal vibration. Art of living practices like chanting Om or Guru Puja mantra connects the seekers to this cosmic sound. At the Vanam, even the rustle of leaves and bird calls seem like part of this nada. The Padukas amplify inner listening, tuning us back to the source of vibration. Now, what is the significance of comparing Padukas to a moon in the verse? The moon cools and soothes unlike the harsh sun. Guru says Padukas to cool the burning mind. Daurabhagya Devam Buddha Malikabhyam. Gurudev's presence brings relief to troubled souls like moonlight after scorching heat. His words soothe without judgment, just as the moon silently comforts all. Guru Padukavanam is moonlight, shaded, calm, cooling for body and mind. Devotees often meditate there at night under actual moonlight, feeling the words come alive. The Guru's grace, like the moon, may be subtle, but powerfully transforms the inner landscape with peace. Now, how do Padukas help in overcoming confusion? The verse declares that Padukas dispel delusion and confusion. Gurudev's teachings simplify life. Confusion is thinking too much. Clarity is coming to the present. Sudarshan Kriya clears mental fog, while wisdom sessions provide perspective. Yet, ultimate clarity dawns through surrender. Guru Paduka Vanam is a physical space where seekers report clarity arising, decisions become easier, and worries shrink. Sitting before the Padukas, it feels like a compass pointing true north. Just as light cuts through darkness, the Guru's Padukas guide the mind out of confusion into steady awareness. Now, how does this verse reflect both compassion and discipline? Words praises the Padukas for their compassion or kripa, yet also for dispelling delusion or vimoha. The Guru is both kind and firm. Gurudev exemplifies this balance, gentle in love, yet strong in guiding seekers to drop habits of ignorance. In Art of Living, this balance is seen in Kriya, rhythmic discipline, yet filled with compassion for the self. Guru Padagavana mirrors this duality, peaceful, yet its presence disciplines the mind into silence. The verse teaches us that true compassion sometimes includes firmness, leading us toward freedom. Now, how does the verse's imagery of gems relate to inner wealth? Jewels in the word symbolize brilliance and inner treasure. The Guru's Padukas reveal the hidden jewel within the self. Gurudev teaches you are a diamond covered with dust. Sadhana removes the dust. Art of living practices polish this inner jewel, lifting and letting it shine. Guru Paduka Vanam's atmosphere feels jewel-like, quiet and precious and radiating value beyond material wealth. Many seekers leave feeling richer, not with money but with joy and clarity. This verse reminds us that the true crown jewel of life is connection to Guru's wisdom discovered at his feet. Now, what does the purity of Padukas in the verse teach modern seekers? Purity here is not just physical but mental and spiritual. Modern life clouds the mind with stress and negativity. Paduka symbolize cleansing. Gurudev provides tools like Sahat Samadhi meditation to restore this purity. In Art of Living, even a stressed professional feels mentally refreshed after sadhana. Guru Padukavanam radiates purity. Its atmosphere feels unpolluted, fresh, and sacred. This verse teaches that seekers should strive for inner clarity, keeping thoughts and intentions pure. Padukas serve as a reminder that the foundation of spiritual life is spotless purity. Now, how does the verse highlight the Paduka as well established? So, some Sthitapyam in verse means firmly established and unshakable. The Guru's teachings remain relevant across centuries. Gurudev's knowledge, though ancient, addresses today's issues of stress, relationships, and the environment. Art of living carries the stability into action worldwide. Guru Padukavanam too is solidly rooted. Stone padukas placed amidst strong trees signify this stability. Devotees meditating there feel grounded, no longer tossed by emotions. This verse assures that when one takes refuge in the Guru's feet, the foundation is steady, providing strength to face life's storms with calm confidence. Now, how do the padukas fulfill universal desires? As per the verse, Jayagurudev, as the verse says, the Padukas fulfill the wishes of all beings, moving or unmoving. This universal blessing is profound. Plants, animals, humans all benefit. Gurudev reflects this inclusiveness. His initiatives touch rivers, forests, communities, and nations. His compassion is not limited to individuals but extends to ecosystems. Guru Padukavanam embodies this inclusivity. Birds to nest, trees thrive, devotees meditate. The environment flourishes as much as the seeker. The verse assures us that Guru's grace flows beyond personal fulfillment, sustaining the balance of the whole cosmos, harmonizing all existence. Now, how does the verse highlight the Guru's role in guiding disciples away from sins? The verse emphasizes that the Guru's padukas wash away accumulated sins just as flowing water cleanses dirt. The remembrance of the Guru purifies karmic impressions. Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankarji often says, don't fight with your mind, surrender it. When disciples bow to the Guru, their inner burdens dissolve, and Art of Living Sudarshan Kriya accelerates this inner cleansing, making the disciple light. This is why Guru Padukavaram was created. Walk there feels like karmic dust is shed, replaced with the serenity. Now, what insight does the verse give about the devotion to Guru's padukas as a means to liberation? The verse describes padukas as doors to liberation, just like a key opens a locked chamber. Guru's grace unlocks the chains of ignorance. Gurudev embodies that key, guiding seekers through meditation, pranayama, and satsang. When we surrender, the ego melts and we enter moksha's doorway. Liberation is not death bound; it begins. While living, Guru Padakavanam was built with this vision. Every step towards it, every bow there, symbolizes moving closer to moksha. Devotees often leave with tears of joy, feeling their lives already liberated. Now, how does the verse highlight that the Padukas are a source of eternal peace? The verse states that Padukas grant Shanti, peace beyond the turmoil of daily life. Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Jesus' presence itself radiates the stillness through seva and sadhana. Disciples experience that same peace which blossoms from surrender. When storms of life strike, bowing to Guru's Paduka stabilizes the heart. Guru Padukavanam is not just stone or construction, it vibrates with the Gurudev's Sankalpa. Sitting there even for minutes gives deep calmness as if the verse comes alive. It has become a shrine where restless minds rest. Now, what message does the verse convey about Guru Paduka's blessings, seekers with wisdom? Yes, Jai Gurudev, the verse glorifies the Padukas as fountains of jnana or wisdom. The Guru removes darkness not through preaching but by kindling awareness within. His Holiness Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar Ji often reminds us that true wisdom is not information but transformation. When we bow, the Padukas awaken dormant wisdom inside us. This is beautifully reflected in Guru Paduka Vanam's design. It was consecrated with chanting of Vedic mantras, infusing the space with knowledge vibrations. Devotees often experience clarity of mind after visiting, as if the verse itself is guiding their thoughts. The verse glorifies the Padukas as capable of granting eloquence and wisdom. How does this relate to Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar Ji's emphasis on knowledge dissemination? Jai Gurudev, as the verse highlights the power of Padukas to bestow the gift of speech filled with wisdom in Gurudev's presence. Even ordinary people find themselves expressing profound truths effortlessly. This reflects how the Guru's energy refines the intellect and communication. In Art of Living, teachers across the globe share knowledge confidently regardless of their background. The Paduka symbolizes blessing, transforming silence into meaningful words. Guru Padukavaram, situated 200 meters from Gate 5, is where devotees sit quietly, and many report spontaneous clarity in thoughts, making it a living proof of this verse. Now, the verse also describes the Padukas as radiating immense brilliance like countless suns. So how is this experience and brilliance experience in Art of Living's global impact? Yes, Jai Gurudev, the verse compares Padukas to blazing suns that remove all ignorance. Gurudev's light spreads through millions of people worldwide across cultures, faiths, and nations. His initiatives of peace negotiations, river rejuvenations, trauma relief, and youth leadership shine like radiant rays from the Guru's Padukas. Just as the Padukas illuminate inner darkness, Gurudev's presence dispels hopelessness and fills life with confidence. Guru Padukavaram stands as a beacon of this light where devotees feel their burdens dissolve in that divine radiance. The brilliance of Padukas extends to every corner of the globe through Art of Living service projects and wisdom programs. Now, the verse praises the Padukas for granting liberation even to householders engaged in worldly life. How is this inclusive vision seen in Gurudev's guidance? Yes, the verse emphasizes that liberation is not limited to renunciates, but also accessible to householders. Gurudev beautifully reiterates this by making spirituality practical and inclusive. His programs are designed for homemakers, professionals, business people, and students, enabling them to balance worldly duties with inner peace. Paduka signify that moksha is possible amidst daily life. At Guru Padukavaram, one sees people from diverse backgrounds, CEOs, farmers, students, saints, equally bowing at the lotus feet. The Guru erases barriers between worldly and spiritual life, granting everyone freedom while living in society, which is the essence of this verse. Now, the verse also speaks of the Padukas as sources of unfailing grace, protecting devotees always. How does this connect to Art of Living's emphasis on trust and surrender? Yes, Jagadev, the verse highlights that Guru's Padukas never fail those who surrender at their feet. Gurudev often says, have faith and miracles will unfold. In the Art of Living, countless people testify how in moments of crisis, financial, emotional, or health related, tuning and turning to Gurudev's presence and his teachings brought unexpected relief. Padukas assure us that divine protection is constant. Guru Padukavanam is designed as a sanctuary where surrender happens effortlessly. Devotees after meditation or Sudarshan Kriya often go there, feeling their worries vanish, replaced by a sense of being cared for by the Guru's infinite grace. Now, the verse also honors the Padukas as the eternal refuge of devotees. How is this reflected in the experience of the Guru Padukavaram itself? Yes, Jagodev, the verse conveys that Guru's Padukas are the ultimate refuge beyond all worldly shelters. Guru Paduka Vanam itself embodies this verse, built thoughtfully after 200 meters from Gate 5. It is located in a serene grove where devotees instinctively feel protected and embraced by the Guru's presence. Gurudev often reminds us that the Guru is both the shelter and the path. Thousands have shared how visiting this sacred space during struggles gave them renewed strength. This verse assures us that when everything else fails, the Guru's Padukas symbolizes and symbolizing eternal refuge will always stand firm, carrying us across life's storms. Now, how does the verse highlight the Guru's ability to awaken dormant wisdom? Yes, Jagudev, the verse praises the Guru Padukas as a source of inner awakening, like sunlight dispelling darkness. The Guru doesn't merely transfer knowledge but ignites the wisdom already lying dormant within the disciple. In Art of Living, Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankarji emphasizes that true learning is remembrance, not accumulation. The Paduka symbolizes awakening force, guiding us from ignorance to clarity. The Guru Paduka Vanam at the International Center reminds seekers that every step towards the Guru removes the inner veils, awakening hidden strength, much like meditation awakens the light of consciousness. Now, how does the Stotram present the Padukas as protectors against worldly temptations? Yes, Jagudev, the verse refers to the Padukas as shields that protect seekers from temptations of wealth, fame, and